Horror films have always been a part of the independent film scene. Considering the relatively inexpensive production costs and devoted fan base, countless filmmakers have taken the plunge and painted the screen red with blood. Many of these filmmakers ended up altering the genre itself and changing the direction of cinema. IndieWire and the playlist selected 10 indie horrors that changed the game. Nosferatu was deemed the unauthorized adaptation of Bram Stoker's Dracula and was doomed to be destroyed. However, a print of the film emerged and was duplicated, saving this German expressionistic horror film. Notice how Max Schreck's Count Orlok's eyes never seem to blink, which adds even more to his unnerving performance. The godfather of today's cultural craze for all things zombie, Night of the Living Dead, actually never once referenced these creeping ghouls as zombies.
The dead who live on living flesh.
These flesh eaters were actually the result of nuclear radiation, which is just one of the many Cold War and cultural critiques laid out in this film.
A night with the dead who cannot die.
Night of the Living Dead is worth watching, if only to first see all the tropes of the zombie genre picture as they are first established by legendary horror director George A. Romero. Though initially banned in several countries, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre is now considered one of the greatest horror films of all time. The film, which follows a group of teens as they eventually fall prey to an impossibly terrifying family of cannibals.
Just some things you gotta do. Don't mean you have to like it.
And the hulking, screaming monster that is Leatherface is a prime example of 1970s exploitation cinema. Despite the color blood red making a prominent mark in this Italian horror, director Dario Argento makes all his colors vibrant in this 1977 classic. Drastic lighting and a near-perfect soundtrack breathe a nightmarish quality into Suspiria that is ultimately enthralling and terrifying. Halloween helped define the art of the slasher film.
Come on out.
Departing from the screaming monsters and crazed killers, John Carpenter's Michael Myers is slow-moving, unemotional, and effective. With a featureless white mask, the painted mask of William Shatner, the audience is able to project anything they can imagine on this single murderous face. However, the true genius of Halloween is the use of point-of-view shots that puts Myers' mask on the audience and the knife in their hand. Giving rise to the director Sam Raimi, The Evil Dead has achieved cult status for combining laughs with buckets of blood.
2 spades, jack of diamonds, jack of clubs!
Spawning a trilogy and a successful remake in 2013, The Evil Dead is one of the few horror films that will have you terrified and smiling.
Sharon, what's the matter with you? Did something in the woods do this to you?
No, it was the woods themselves.
The Blair Witch Project, when it was released in 1999, was such a phenomenon that many moviegoers literally thought they were seeing the actual found footage of 3 film students who disappeared while hiking in the Black Hills.
I am so sorry for everything that has happened.
The pieced-together film was shot for $40,000 and ultimately grossed over $240 million. This film leaves you guessing and terrified. Saw brought psychological horror and grisly gore to a new level. It was shot in 18 days and kicked off James Wan's horror career. Saw centers on 2 men as they are tested by serial killer Jigsaw.
Hello, Adam. Dr. Gordon. I want to play a game.
to see if they truly appreciate life through a trial of brutal self-sacrifice. The horrifying truth is revealed when we realize the saws are not meant for their chains, but something much more painful.
He doesn't want us to cut through our chains. He wants us to cut through our feet.
Many will argue that Shaun of the Dead should not be on this list, but let's consider a few things before we rush to judgment. The film, despite being a comedy, is no less of a horror film and hilariously executes many of the zombie picture staples that had become cliché over time. I would also argue that despite the alpha male hero complex many have when fantasizing over the zombie apocalypse, Shaun of the Dead is how most people would handle it.
So, what's the plan?
Right. Take Carl, go to Mum's, kill Phil, grab Liz, go to the Winchester, have a nice cold pint, and wait for all this to blow over. How's that for a slice of fried gold?
Yeah, boy!
Producer Jason Blum's centerpiece micro-budget film Paranormal Activity spawned a massively successful franchise. Using the found footage directorial style, a couple in their home attempts to record a strange phenomena.
My girlfriend Katie, she thinks there's something in the house, I don't know.
You believe me, right?
And discovers a demonic presence. What terrifies the audience, though, is not the actual paranormal activity, but the waiting. There are long sequences where nothing seems to be happening, but the fear that something is just within the shadows will leave you clinging to your chair. What other indie horror films do you like? Leave it in the comments below, and for more horror lists, head over to IndieWire.com. Oh, and make sure you like and subscribe.